Are seed oils slowly killing us? Or are they the most misunderstood ingredient on the internet? Because depending on who you ask, seed oils are either metabolic poison or unfairly blamed for problems they didn't create. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to hear. Seed oils, by themselves, are not uniquely toxic in normal culinary amounts. But the ultra-processed foods and repeated high-heat frying they often come packaged with can absolutely be a longevity problem. If you want science-backed longevity strategies that avoid food cults and fear-based eating, hit like and subscribe. And check the description for Amazon links to foundational health products we mention, plus our longevity compass book. Now let's slow this down and separate signal from noise. When people say seed oils, they usually mean a group often called the Hateful Eight: canola, corn, cottonseed, grapeseed, soy, rice bran, sunflower, and safflower oils. Online, these get treated like one toxic blob. Chemically, they're not. Most seed oils are high in unsaturated fats. That includes polyunsaturated fats, especially omega-6 linoleic acid. Some, like canola, are relatively higher in monounsaturated fat. And many now come in high oleic versions, which behave very differently under heat. Important clarification before we go any further. Seed oils are not trans fats. The real villain of the past was partially hydrogenated oils, which the FDA removed from the food supply because they clearly increased cardiovascular risk. Linoleic acid is also not the same thing as conjugated linoleic acid supplements. Different molecules, different biology. So how did seed oils become public enemy number one? The correlation story. Seed oil consumption rose dramatically during the 20th century. So did obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. One often cited analysis estimates soybean oil availability increased more than 1,000-fold during that period, and linoleic acid intake rose from about 3% to over 7% of calories. Sounds damning, until you zoom out. That same period also saw a massive rise in ultra-processed food intake. Higher total calories. More refined carbs and sugary beverages. More restaurant and deep-fried food exposure. So blaming a single ingredient feels satisfying, but it's usually scientifically sloppy. Here's the high-retention question you should always ask. If seed oils are the villain, why do they often look protective in human outcome studies when they replace butter? This brings us to the most important concept in nutrition science. Compared to what? Replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat is not the same as adding seed oils on top of an already junk-heavy diet. Meta-analyses of randomized trials consistently show that when polyunsaturated fats replace saturated fats, LDL cholesterol drops and cardiovascular events go down. One large analysis found about a 19% lower risk of coronary heart disease events when PUFA replaced saturated fat. Each 5% of calories shifted showed roughly a 10% risk reduction. Cochrane reviews show similar patterns. Cutting saturated fat reduces cardiovascular risk, especially when replaced with polyunsaturated fats. And yes, one advisory famously noted that the magnitude of risk reduction in those trials was comparable to statins, in that specific replacement context. Here's the soundbite that matters. If someone cuts seed oils and replaces them with a lot of butter or tallow, their LDL and ApoB exposure can worsen. That is not a longevity flex. Now let's address the claim that refuses to die. Omega-6 causes inflammation. The story goes like this. Seed oils are high in omega-6 linoleic acid. Linoleic acid becomes arachidonic acid. Arachidonic acid makes inflammatory molecules. Therefore, seed oils cause chronic inflammation. It's tidy. It's logical. And in real humans, it mostly doesn't pan out. Systematic reviews and meta-analyses of controlled feeding trials consistently find that increasing linoleic acid does not meaningfully raise common inflammatory markers like CRP. That doesn't mean inflammation isn't complex. It means the real world is more nuanced than the meme. In actual diets, the bigger drivers of inflammation are excess calories, poor diet quality, low fiber intake, and low omega-3 intake, not linoleic acid in isolation. Here's a plot twist most people never hear. Higher linoleic acid intake is often associated with lower risk of type 2 diabetes in large prospective studies. Dose-response analyses suggest each 5% increase in calories from linoleic acid is linked to about a 10% lower diabetes risk. If seed oils were metabolic poison, that pattern would be very hard to explain. Now let's switch lenses to longevity. For lifespan and healthspan, the main battleground is cardiovascular risk. LDL cholesterol, ApoB exposure, plaque formation over decades. Across the totality of evidence, replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats improves that risk profile on average. That doesn't mean every oil is perfect. It means blanket fear is not evidence-based. Now, to be fair, there are serious critiques worth discussing. Some researchers have reanalyzed older trials and found cholesterol reductions without clear mortality benefits. Those analyses deserve discussion. But those were older-era interventions with different food supplies, different adherence issues, and sometimes confounding from trans fats in margarines. When you zoom out to modern systematic reviews, the balance of evidence still favors replacing saturated fats with unsaturated fats for cardiovascular risk reduction. Now let's talk about the strongest partial argument against seed oils. Oxidation during high heat frying. This is where nuance matters. Oils higher in polyunsaturated fat are more prone to oxidation when exposed to high heat, long cooking times, and repeated reuse. Under fryer conditions, chemical degradation products and aldehydes increase. And studies show that high oleic versions of oils are more stable than conventional versions during repeated frying. Translation for real life. It's not seed oils are toxic. It's abused oils, deep frying, reuse, and ultra-processed food contexts are the problem. Which brings us to the real villain hiding in plain sight. Ultra-processed food. When people quit seed oils, they usually stop eating fries, chips, pastries, fast food, and packaged snacks. Calories drop. Fiber goes up. Diet quality improves. So they feel better, and credit the oil. Seed oils may be the delivery vehicle. Ultra-processed food is often the payload. Large reviews consistently link higher ultra-processed food intake with worse cardiometabolic outcomes and higher mortality risk. That's the signal most people accidentally improve when they go seed oil free. So what should you actually do? Here's the longevity compass 3-tier rule. Best, whole food fat sources like nuts, seeds, avocado, and fatty fish, plus minimally processed oils used reasonably at home. Fine, refined seed oils used in normal home cooking, especially when replacing butter or lard. Limit hard, deep-fried foods, restaurant frying, repeatedly heated oils, and ultra-processed foods where oils stack with refined carbs, salt, and sugar. Cooking nuance matters. For high heat, stability matters. High oleic oils handle heat better than conventional versions. Don't reuse oil endlessly. Store oils away from light and heat. Keep containers sealed. And here's the don't backfire warning. If you quit seed oils and replace them with lots of saturated fat, you may worsen long-term cardiovascular risk, even if your TikTok feed applauds you. Quick reminder, if this helped, like and subscribe. And check the description for Amazon links to foundational health products that support long-term longevity, plus our Longevity Compass book. Now I want to hear from you. Did cutting seed oils actually change how you feel, or did cutting ultra-processed food do the heavy lifting? Because the goal here isn't fear. It's precision.